All right, team, R440B, resistance for January. This is the second part of the week where we slow the workout down, give you more rest time so that you can recover and you can stay at that heavier load for a longer period of time. You have two circuits. One is a warm-up circuit, and then you have your main circuit. In the warm-up circuit, you have 3 exercises, 2 rounds, 30 seconds for the first 2 exercises, 40 seconds for the third exercise. It's only a 5-second transition time between all the exercises, and it's a 5-second transition time from round to round. You get a 50-second transition time for the next circuit, your main circuit, which consists of 8 exercises. You're doing them for 4 rounds. 4 rounds. You're staying at each exercise for all 4 rounds. Your first round is 25 seconds worth of work, and it's 25-second rest. After round 1, your work time goes up to 30 seconds and your rest time goes up to 35 seconds. That allows them more recovery so that they can lift again heavier, longer. The whole idea is to be able to rest and maximize the ability to lift that heavy weight for a longer period of time. Now, if they need a little bit more in between each round, they can add either a cardio exercise, a core exercise, or they can do a body weight exercise. And this is how it works. If they can't maximize the weight, the load, and they really want to focus on the muscle, then they do a body weight exercise. If they can't maximize the load, or they just want to kill themselves, they can add cardio. If they're maximizing the load, but they want just a little bit more, and they're killing themselves anyways, but they want just a little bit more, then I'd have them do core. Those are kind of the 3 options there. Now, they don't have to do anything. Me personally, I'm going to rest because I want that recovery so I can lift harder and maximize the exercise for that muscle hypertrophy. Again, they have those options in between each round. Now, they have a 50-second transition time from exercise to exercise. They can still do some more cardio, core or body weight exercise. They're absolutely fine to do that. But there's a 50-second transition time from exercise to exercise. And again, there are 8 exercises. You're staying at each exercise for all 4 rounds. So they're not moving until they're done with all those 4 rounds. Then they move to the next exercise. And their team is R440B, resistance for January. Standing Y raise. Okay, so what that is we're going to stand on one side of the rubber band. Our arms are going to be right here. They're going to be locked and they're going to come up. Thumbs up, we're coming up. Thumbs are staying up. We're stopping right about here so we keep constant tension on that rubber band and on the shoulders. Come up, arms are locked. Pull those arms as far back as you can. You'll really feel those muscles tightening up in the upper back, lower neck area. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to fire up the posterior part of that shoulder and help set the shoulder properly before we start overloading it. Then we're going to go into dive bombs. The key about dive bombs is making sure we have our hands wide enough. If they're narrow, where our elbows are going to go over our hands, and it's put a lot of stress on that elbow joint. So keep them wide. Heels, once that's established, and that's the thing that you really want the members to focus on is going to keep the heels glued to the ground and the legs locked so you get an active stretch in the calves and the hamstrings. Full range of motion, nice, slow, and control, back up again, but really focus on getting the stretch in the hamstrings and the calves. Okay, that's what they really want to do. Then you're going to straight arm kickbacks. Unlike the tricep kickbacks, the hinge point is the shoulder. Okay, you don't want to see your triceps moving. So triceps in a slightly bent position, and my hinge point is just my shoulders. Once again, shoulders down and back. I see a lot of the shoulders come up like this. I want the shoulders down and back. Set that shoulder socket, okay, and extend as far up as you can. Size is the dumbbell bench press. So we're going to start. You're going to grab 2 dumbbells. And again, most important thing about the dumbbell bench press, guys, is elbow placement. I want these elbows in line with the shoulders or slightly below, but not above, the forearms perpendicular to the ground. You can go below, a little bit below 90 degrees. When you come up, nice arc pattern. When you're done, parallel grip, use your legs to help get you out. That is exercise number 1. All right, so the bird dog, what you're going to be doing is option 1 is going to be on the hands and the knees. Extend that arm out, squeeze the glute as they come out. Really squeeze up on the back, that posterior shoulder part, raise it as high as you can, and then you're going to opposite side there. Now, the the more advanced bird dog, there's a few things to be looking out for. Number one is we want to be on our hands and toes, just like this. And we want to try to get those heels down to the ground so we get that active stretch in the calf. Then when we lift opposite arm and opposite leg, what we're trying not to do is have that rotation. We want to stabilize if we can't do that. So if you see somebody doing something like this, where their hips are rotating way in, that means they don't have enough core strength to be able to do it on their hands and toes, so you may want to take them down to their knees, okay? But again, how that goes is we're gonna take opposite arm, opposite leg up. Again, the heel right there, heel's on the ground, and we're trying not to rotate those hips. So we're just going back and forth, trying not to rotate those hips. That's really gonna warm up that posterior chain there. And there's the bird dog. Goblet, alternating, step up. So they're gonna grab a dumbbell. Now, they can grab it goblet style. This is gonna be a lot more core, a lot more anaerobic because they're using a lot more of their entire body. However, it takes some of the focus away from the legs. If they want more legs, then they would grab 2 dumbbells, okay? Because they're gonna double the load effectively. So that way they're gonna get more work into the legs. However, if they wanna do it this way here, this is gonna work shoulders, so they're gonna continue to work shoulders, a lot more core, and again, a lot more anaerobic. This is gonna be a lot more challenging, okay? They're gonna come, and your step is gonna be higher than this. Now, when it comes to the step, the higher the step, the more they're gonna go work the glutes, the more glute activation they get. The higher the step, the more stress is put on the knee joint. So what I recommend, again, it's gonna be a little bit higher than this. You're gonna have probably 2 or 3 risers on this, at least 3 risers minimum for the step ups for most people. But instead of really putting a lot of risers and get this thing way up here, just drop down in the back and then come up, okay? So for example, drop down, press up, push your hips forward, squeeze the glute, drop down, press up, squeeze the hips forward, squeeze the glutes, push the hips forward. Okay, you want to push through the heel, shoulders down and back, and really drive through the heel and put the weight through the heel and drive through the hips, okay? You want those glutes to be working. So the sit out is essentially a plank, and you're just gonna kind of rotate your legs out. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So you're in the plank position, then you're gonna take one leg and you're gonna rotate it out. If you wanna take that hand off the ground, you can, or keep the hand on the ground for an extra stretch in the thoracic area. Again, back to that center plank, back over here. Again, back to the center plank, and then kick that leg out. So that's the sit out, great for core development. With equalizer dips, option, you're gonna be facing or your feet are going to be over, you're going to be facing the box. And the reason is then that way I can utilize legs to help push me up. I can utilize a lot more legs when I'm in that position. Option 2, I turn around. My feet are on the box. Again, shoulders down and back, come down 90 degrees, back up again. I don't want to go below 90 degrees with my elbows. So just 90 degrees, back up, or I can do no assistance at all. Or you can even actually load it with either a dip belt, or you can take a dumbbell and put it between your legs. So you can overload that one really good. All right, so the mountain climber, the slow mountain climber is more for core. It's not really meant to drive the cardio up. It's meant to work more on your core. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this leg in and you're gonna pull your hips forward. So what you're kind of doing is kind of rounding the back, so to speak, because you're pulling those hips in forward, really contracting those abs, coming up, contract the abs, come up, contract the abs. And again, you're pulling those abs, pulling your hips underneath so you get the contraction in the ab. They can also take this out to the side as well. Again, slow. Those are going to really hit the obliques. So you have the ones that go out to the side, the ones in the center. Again, you're going slow and really focusing on the abs or the obliques if you take them out to the side. We'll be doing the double dumbbell deadlift. So here, double dumbbell deadlift, shoulder down and back. Okay, knees are soft, slight bend in the knees, shoulders down and back is flat. I'm gonna bend down, keeping that back flat, and my hamstrings are gonna stop me. They're gonna say, hey, we're not gonna go any further, come back up, squeeze those glutes at the top of the movement. These weights should be following our legs, okay? Not coming up here. When we see this come up here like this, we're starting to round our shoulders. So we wanna keep those shoulders down and back and keep those weights ideally to the side. Again, everybody has their own version of it, but again, to the side is going to be the best for making sure that we keep a lot of that out of our back. If they have lower back issues, they're going to keep it light. Be very careful. That is a great glute lower hamstring development, but it is also a lot of strain on that lower back. So if they have lower back issues, either keep it light or give them another option for that. So the plank up down can be on your hands or your toes, or I mean your knees, either your knees and your hands or on your toes and your hands. And all you're doing is going down, down, up, up. Again, on the hands and toes, down, down, up, up. Trying not to rotate those hips. You don't want to see these hips rotating a lot. What we're trying to do is stabilize that core, stabilize the hips, which is going to take a lot of core strength, which is what makes it such an effective core exercise. All right, so the rubber band high to low press. You're going to need 2 rubber bands just like this. What we're doing is we're coming across in front. Okay, we're coming and pressing in front and then crossing over. So press in front and then cross over to get more of a muscle contraction. They don't have to do that, but you're going to get more out of it if they come and cross over in front. Now, the key here is to have, you're going from the high to low position. So you're coming up here and you're pressing downward, okay? If we start to lean out too much, we're starting to press upward. We're more into the upper chest versus the lower chest, which is where I want to keep it. So I want to keep myself in that upright position and then cross, I'm pushing down. Now you can do it with one leg in front. You can do it with both legs in back, but again, that's going to take a little bit more balance because it's going to try to pull you either forward or backwards or however you want to do it. This will help stabilize that. Again, we're pressing high to low, and then again, we're adding that cross, that real tight connection or contraction of the pecs in the front by crossing the arms over. We want to go over midline if we can to get that real intense contraction in those pecs and get the most out of that exercise. So the rubber band tricep press down. The rubber band tricep press down. You can use handles, you can use a rubber band with no handles, you can use 2 rubber bands with handles. There's a lot of different variations. Typically, you're just going to use 1 rubber band. You might have 2 handles on that one rubber band like this, so it allows them to get that full range of motion all the way down, and they're not stuck here in the middle because that will keep them from getting the full contraction in the tricep. But this way they can get that full contraction in the tricep. But all they're going to be doing, whether it's 1 rubber band or 2, and I'll show you with no handles, with 1 rubber band, okay, I'm going to pull my shoulders down and back, I'm going to push my hips out, and then I'm going to take my hands all the way down. Again, that's a little, all the way down, try to get that full contraction. Now, I prefer to use the handles because I can face my palms down. I just walk back a little bit further, again, stick my hips out, and then I can come down to that full contraction so I'm getting my hands on both sides of my body there. Again, they can still do that with the rubber band, even if we didn't, use a little bit lighter rubber band, even if they don't have handles on it, because I can get my hands across. So you see how they're actually coming on both sides of my hand, or both sides of my body right now, but I have to have a rubber band enough to where I have that slack in the front to be able to get all the way to the back. Again, elbows are by the side. I come straight down and get that intense contraction on the tricep on the way, all the way down. I'm not going to let the tension off this band, so I want the tension on the band the entire time. So again, I'm starting here. As long as I have tension, I'm good. I can come up to here, but I want to make sure that I have that tension and I get that stretch in the tricep when I come up and get the full extension on the tricep. So the mountain climbers with a twist, once again, anytime you're on the ground in that plank position, just remember the handles are a good option for people with wrist issues. So just keep that in mind for anybody that has a potential wrist issue. The mountain climbers with a twist. First of all, the straight mountain climber, we're just coming straight up, just like this. When we add that twist, we're gonna add obliques. The key here is gonna be speed, and we're adding that rotation. The whole reason for that is to work those obliques, so you get a lot more core. Now again, if you have lower back issues, anytime you're working the core, anytime you add that rotation in the core, that works the lower back, so that might be a problem. They can just do the regular straight mountain climbers. The kettlebell sumo squat from the bench. So here, you're gonna have 2 benches on either side. You're going to grab a kettlebell. Now, once again, shoulders down and back, chest stays up, drop the hips, push through the heels, squeeze the glute at the top of the movement. Okay? When you're done, you're not setting it down like a deadlift. You're setting it down with your legs to protect that back. Also, when you're picking it up, pick it up the same way. Again, squeeze the glutes at the top of the movement. You guys are a lot stronger than they think they are in this one. If they have lower back issues, that's one thing. But if they don't have any issues with knee or lower back, you want to try to go a little bit heavier than what they think they can do, because most people who go heavier are a lot stronger on the legs than they think they are. Again, when you come up, squeeze the glutes, push your hips forward to get that glute contraction. All right, so the plank. There's a lot of different variations with the plank. Obviously, plank on the knees. Again, if people have wrist issues, you can always utilize the handles, which is a good option for those that do have wrist issues. Again, here, plank, up here, plank on the hands and toes, okay? You can also do these on the elbows. So you can be on the hands or you can be on the elbows, same concept, either with your knees down or with your knees off the ground. Again, we're trying to drive the shoulders down and back, try not to let the shoulders collapse or let them come up like this. You want those down and back, keep that shoulder stability and make sure that you maintain that proper shoulder set. So that's kind of the different variations with the plank. All right, so the rubber band, kettlebell, dumbbell, tricep kickback. What you're gonna do is I'll demonstrate with the dumbbells first is shoulders down and back. I'm gonna bend over just like this. Elbows, raise my elbows high. Get them as high as possible because notice the range of motion. Get a lot of range of motion. If I'm up in this position, which if they have lower back issues, then they may have to stand up a little bit taller and do something like this. But again, the range of motion, you see how limited that range of motion is there, especially when I'm using weights. You might want to use a rubber band for something like that. But if they have lower back issues, have them stand a little bit taller with just not as much bend in the back. Otherwise, again, elbows go high. If I'm using the kettlebells, it's the exact same thing. I'm just grabbing it by the handles, elbows are high, and I kick all the way back. I stop with a little bit of angle, so there's still tension on my triceps. Here, there's no tension, but here, there's still some tension, and then go back up again. The downside with the kettlebells is there's bigger jumps with that, versus the dumbbells, you have smaller jumps, which makes it a little bit easier. You also, again, have the tricep, or the rubber band tricep kickbacks. So with the rubber band tricep kickbacks, exactly the same thing. Elbows go high, and we extend out. Now, again, if I have lower back issues, notice, want to keep those elbows high. I still have there's a pretty good resistance in there. My range of motion is limited, but I'm still taking that pressure off the lower back. So people with lower back issues, have them stand a little bit taller, and then they can actually do the rubber band tricep kickback or some of the dumbbell ones. But again, it takes the stress off the lower back. Not as much isolation. They don't get as much work on the tricep, but it does take the stress off the back. So the rotating hip dip. The rotating hip dip is essentially a plank. Once again, you can use the handles if they're going to be in the upright or on their hands, or they can also do these on their knees. Knees, just going to go from side to side. All they're doing is rotating. They can also do these on their hands. Again, rotate from side to side. Try to get those hips as low as you can and then come back up again, okay? Yeah, they can also do this on their knees. So if it's too much to do on the toes, you can also do it on the knees to downgrade it there. Doing the dumbbell or kettlebell standing calf raise from a plate. Now, you have two options here. One, and they don't have to use a plate at all, but let's just grab a couple of kettlebells since we have them here. The more of a stretch they get, the more fiber they're going to fire up. So ideally they want to be on that 45-pound plate. But if that balance is an issue, especially when they start getting heavier, they can always come down to the 25-pound plate. The smaller the plate, the more balance they're going to have, come up, and then they're going to come back down again, okay? So what they'll do is probably come up and down pretty quick, especially if they're having a balance issue. Again, ideally you want to use the thicker plate because that's going to give you a better stretch. So you have a much better stretch in the calf, so you get more fiber activation because you got more range of motion. But again, if balance is an issue, then they probably want to go down to the smaller plate. So side plank reach through. Again, handles for hand flexion if they need that, but the side plank reach through. So what we're going to do is we're going to be on our side, okay, and we're going to reach through just like this and then come back up. Again, reach through, add that rotation, come back up. You can also do these on the knees, reach through and then back up. Again, that's going to be the easier version when they have one knee on the ground, or they can have both knees on the ground. But again, they're reaching through, get as much rotation as they can, really reach through, and then come all the way up in that expanded position there. Nice thing about that too is they want to try to come out as far as they can so they can get that active stretch in those pecs as well.